What's going on? Today I'm going to talk to you guys about the Edelkrone Slider and this adaptation that they made called the Action Module that makes the slider move all by itself. So today I'm going to go over the Edelkrone Slider and then the Action Module. So the slider by itself is kind of unique where the whole track slides with the slider. It helps when you're using a wide angle. The track does not get in the way of your shots in your slide when you're using a wide angle lens. So that's one of the reasons that I really like it. It's very small and compact for the amount of travel that it has, and that's one of the reasons why I picked it up. And when I was doing a lot of my shots, I noticed I'm really particular about having a constant speed. So sometimes I would do the same shot over and over 3 or 4 times to get just that constant speed. And it was taking me a lot of time to, frame up my shots, get everything going, and then I have to do it 3 or 4 different times. And it wasn't as consistent as I liked. There was a little bit of shake, so I had to do some stabilization in post. So that's why I went ahead and picked up the Action Module. So now it takes the sliding from like speeds consistent throughout the whole slide, takes that out of it, and then I can focus on either doing like a rack focus, panning and tilting, and the speed is constant. So it lets me do some other things that I wasn't capable of, because it's really hard to move this thing at a consistent motion and then being able to pan and tilt and do a bunch of other things. They do have a target module that keeps the object in a center place, but you got to know how far it's away. And I do a lot of wedding videography, and I just don't have time to set it up. Everything I'm doing is run and gun shooting, get as many shots as possible, and you're setting up for the next. The other thing that I did with all my cameras, I don't know if you guys can see this, but I glued a bubble level on the top. And why that is important for these kind of shots is, the tripods usually have a level on it, but sometimes it's very, very hard to see. And I have the tripod where you can unscrew the bottom and then you can tilt this all around. And it was really hard trying to find out, hey, is my shot level? And so I can use the bubble level on the very top, tighten it down, and now I know my slide is going to be level from no matter where I move it. So that's one of the reasons why I have this on the very top, and it's helped me make a lot of my shots level, because I'll get some shots in post and then I'll have to adjust it depending on how out of level the shot was. So when I started doing this, more shots were usable. And when I'm looking for a good quality slider, I look at when I get back from my wedding, from my shoot, how many shots are usable. And when I upgraded to this piece of equipment, it helped me have more consistent shots, more usable shots, less time was wasted, because on a day of a wedding, I don't have any time to waste. I'm trying to get as many shots as possible. And so it just made my job more consistent and more easier. And then when I produced a video, it was just a better quality product. So after you turn it on, you're going to select what mode you want. There's the wizard mode, where you select a start point and then an end point, and that's what I use the most. Then there's also macro mode, so it just moves really, really, really slow. So when you have a shallow depth of field on macro, there's no shake and it's just really smooth. I don't use it's like a video time lapse, so you can do animation and photo time lapse. I have not used yet, because mine is just strictly for video doing sliding shots. So that's what I want to focus on in this video. So let me show you how to set up wizard mode. So the first thing you're going to do is pick where you want to start. You're going to hold the button down and you're going to record. And you're going to slide it along until you get to an endpoint. Now, it records how fast you moved. And so when you're done recording that, you can pick how fast you want it to accelerate, and then you can also pick the speed that you want it to travel. So the track that we just did, out of 100, it said my speed was 18. So to start this, we're just going to tap the button to the right, and then it's going to go. And then so if we want to make it go faster, we just tap the button up and it'll make it go faster. And then when it gets done, it will stop. Now there's certain times during weddings where I don't want it to stop. I want it to just keep going in a loop. I'm off with another camera recording it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna double tap it the direction that I want it to go twice. And so when it gets to the end, it will automatically go back the other way. Now, one of the other parameters that you can change is the acceleration. And so that's how fast and how slow you want it to stop. So we'll do it at 10 right now. So now we'll do the acceleration down to like 1. So what this does is your stops and your starts are really smooth. So depending on what kind of shot and what you're doing, this can be a very helpful tool. Now, one of the reasons why I like this piece of equipment and why I could justify how much it was, I think I bought it for like $580 when I bought it, is, well, this is doing its thing. I can do some other things. So now I'm going to show you, here I have a fluid head on here. And I'm going to show you how I can use this to do a panning shot without doing anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my hand, I'll use this hand. I'm going to take my hand and I'm going to put it right here, and I'm not going to, usually I'm standing when I do this, and I'm not going to move at all. So what I'm going to do is push this way, and as this goes, it's now doing the panning shot for me. So I'll go the same way. So as this moves, it's consistent in the speed that it pans. It's a lot harder to keep a subject in the middle, but if you want to do a panning shot, a reveal, show everybody the room, that's a good option to do. One of the other things that I do is I'll put the head all the way down and find how fast it will go. So I will start my shot, and now I'll pretty much do it automatically. Sometimes I'll give it a little help to get that smooth motion. One of the other things that I like to do with these cameras is I'll put it rack focus. So everything is completely blown out, and it will be a manual focus. And then what I'll do is I'll have it be centered to automatic focus. And as this goes along, I will just push that button so it'll go rack focus into the subject that I want focused really smoothly. And it's just a trick that I learned to get some new creative shots. And for me, using a macro lens for videography, this is the only way you can get nice smooth shots. So it was expensive at first, but once I started using it, the amount of shots and the different kind of shots that I could get was definitely worth it. So I'll show you what this looks like now. So that's what the actual module looks like. So you can take the speed and you can change the speed all the way up to 100. Here's our acceleration. We can start at 1 to 10. The only thing I do not like about this is once you turn it off and then you turn it back on, everything restarts. I'm gonna let you guys listen. I'm gonna put this down to 1 so you can kind of hear how loud that is. That's the only really complaint that I get about this is how loud it is. So we'll go all the way up to 100. So you guys can kind of hear how loud that is. So if you're doing an interview and you're really close, I wouldn't particularly use this because you might pick up some of the background noise. The other thing I had to do is when I got this comes with cloth belts, and I had to switch out the belt. It's pretty easy to do. They have great videos online, so that's the only two things, my only knock on that. Other than that, it works really good, and it kind of allows me to get a lot more shots that I couldn't get before I had this. So I highly recommend getting this with this slider. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys have any questions about the slider, leave them in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe. I'm gonna make a bunch more videos on the different tools that I use at my weddings.